Well, good day again. So for today, I have another vintage Christmas video for you. This time we're gonna talk about the living legend, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. And this is the first time you've seen him in any cartoon or movie version ever. So as per usual, we'll recap the episode itself. I'll give you some of my zany thoughts on it, and then we'll talk some more about it after. So alright, let's go. So it is Christmas Eve, and all the reindeer are hanging out in front of Santa's factory, having a good old time playing the reindeer games. All of them except for this shy little reindeer kid named Rudolph. You see, his nose is really shiny and bright, and all the other reindeer make fun of him and don't want to hang around him because of it. Poor Rudolph. So Rudolph's mom is calling him home. She looks more human than reindeer almost, which kind of throws you off for a bit, but she still has a heart of gold. Seeing as it is Christmas Eve, Rudolph is sent to bed to await Santa's arrival, which is all hip. But it's not so hip because Santa notices there's a huge fog descending upon the entire planet, apparently. He's all like,
Oh, it's pretty bad up there, man. Oh, well, let's still make the flight. It's probably gonna suck, though, but let's give it a shot.
And so he does. He gets his main sleigh-flying reindeer, Dasher, Dancer, Prancer, Vixen, Comet, Cupid, Donner, and Blitzen. Everything's ready to go, and they fly out of the factory. But this fog is still so thick that they can't really see where they're going. Right off the bat, they crash into a forest before getting reset. They almost get hit by an airplane in mid-flight. A little touch and go, but they make it through. And they crash on a couple of housetops as well. Man, this world-engulfing fog is not really doing Santa any favors. Until he gets to the house where all the reindeer are. And as he's putting toys in Rudolph's stocking, he's like, holy crap, man, this kid's nose is like super bright. So bright, in fact, that it's gonna cut through all this fog. So he's like,
Rudolph, with your nose so bright, fly my sleigh, let's go, we're out of here.
And so he does. Santa's able to see with the greatest of ease because leading his sleigh now is Rudolph. With this spotlight for a nose, Christmas is saved. And as Santa and his flight team make it back to the North Pole, all the reindeer gather at the practice stadium because Rudolph is being celebrated for saving Christmas this year. Santa even gives him a medal and awards him the title of Commander-in-Chief. I don't know how that title name makes sense for, delivering gifts, but it somehow does. He also blushes and his entire body glows a bright red, so he has some other powers that we didn't know of, which is super awesome. But nonetheless, that is the end of this fantastic little tale. So I gotta say, man, for as short of a video that was, it was actually packed with awesomeness. Like the whole origin story of our fluorescent-nosed friend is pretty awesome in itself, but I do gotta say, my whole favorite thing about this was actually Santa. Like, it actually kind of shows how well dedicated him and his reindeer team are to getting the job done every Christmas. Like, they crash into some trees and boom, let's get back to it, guys. Let's keep going. The show must go on. They crash into a house. Okay, you guys pull, I'll push. Let's get the hell out of here. Let's keep going. No matter what was kind of thrown at him, like, he was gonna find a way to kind of get through the whole kind of mess. So with that in mind, could he have still gotten the job done without Rudolph? Well, technically, but he was kind of still in a time crunch, and I don't think he actually would have made that. They kind of made that kind of a little clear that the last gift was delivered at the last possible minute, with Rudolph's help. So yeah, still Rudolph did save the day. There would have been a lot of disappointed children without Rudolph's help. A lot of kids still would have got their gifts. But, Rudolph was, the hero of the day still no matter what. And the whole animation from this era of cartoons is just still so phenomenal. Like, it still blows a lot of cartoons out of the water, even, these days are pretty good, but, for, like, it still stands as giants in the animation world. Like, so if you haven't watched this, definitely check it out. I'm sure you could watch it on YouTube here. Like, it's definitely a beauty. And with that in mind, let's see what else we can dig up about this special year. So if we're talking Rudolph, let's go all the way back to the very beginning of his existence. Rudolph was born in 1939 in Chicago. There is a chain of department stores called Montgomery Ward's, and they would always hand out coloring books for kids for Christmas, but they wanted an original story so they could save a lot of money on paying for royalties. So they asked one of their writing employees, Robert Louis May, to come up with the story. And boom, he totally did, about this reindeer with a shiny glowing red nose. Some fun facts for the inspiration of Rudolph. His daughter was a really big fan of all the deer at the Chicago Zoo. So he's like, yeah, deer, Christmas, it's gotta be reindeer. He himself was pretty shy as a child, and he kind of gave Rudolph that kind of outcast, misfit kind of personality as well. And one day, staring out of the office building for inspiration, a really thick fog descended upon the area and he couldn't see anything, and he's like, holy crap, yeah, reindeer, fog. What if the dude had a red nose? And Christmas history is made. He also went through a bunch of different names for the main characters, such as Rollo, Reginald, and Rodney, just to name a few. Pretty much any name that started with R, but he finally settled on Rudolph. And the books were illustrated by Canadian-born Denver Gillen to give Rudolph that really awesome, cutesy, kind of innocent kind of vibe, which really worked with the character. There is also an element of tragedy to this story. You see, this was in the 1930s when the story was written, which of course was during the Great Depression. Things were not financially good for a lot of people, including Robert May and his family. In fact, even worse, his wife died of cancer during this time. So he's really struggling to keep any money to kind of stay afloat. But he did get a major break. The Montgomery Ward department stores did own the copyright to the story of Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, but they decided to give that copyright to Robert May. And with that, Robert May's financial problems were all a thing of the past. These books were an instant hit and were selling like crazy. So eventually, in 1948, we have the creation of our featured episode in this video, and what a doozy. So our featured short episode was directed by the legendary Max Fleischer. If you know anything about cartoons back in the day, you would know this guy's name. He's brought to life so many wonderful characters like Betty Boop, Popeye, and of course the original legendary Superman cartoons. The story in this short film is actually pretty faithful to the book. It might not seem like it because Rudolph's story has been retold a few times, but at this very beginning of his existence, the book and the cartoon were pretty much bang on. Some things hither and thither slightly changed, but the meat and potatoes were all the same. Like, for example, one thing that has been altered since, originally, Santa decided to take the flight and had a hard time with it, whereas in future Rudolph stories, Santa didn't even consider taking the flight. Like, again, not the biggest story change, but you know, it was quite the change anywho. In this feature, it's actually pretty neat to note that a bunch of the toys in Santa's sleigh were actually of Rudolph. You can see him right here. This is more than likely the animators just having fun with it all. But in a sense, the world building was like Santa and the elves kind of low-key, like taking some digs at Rudolph, like making a toy out of him. Either way, pretty cool to see. The funny thing about this was that a year after this cartoon was made is when we finally got the Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer song. It was of course written by Johnny Marks, who is the brother-in-law to Robert May. Kept Rudolph all in the family, so that's pretty awesome. So the Rudolph cartoon was re-released later with having Johnny Marks' version of the song playing during the title credits of the cartoon. A little later on, the song was covered by the legendary Gene Autry, and it became a smash hit, even reaching #1 on the pop Billboard charts. Other involvements with Robert May and Rudolph was that he actually wrote 2 sequel books to Rudolph. The first one was in 1954 called Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer Shines Again. In this one, Rudolph loses the ability to have a shiny nose. It's gone until he gets involved in finding 2 lost baby rabbits and his nose glow is restored. Pretty fancy. Robert May did write another sequel in 1947, but it was never published. His daughter found that original manuscript in like the 1990s, and it was finally published in 1992. And that one was called Rudolph's Second Christmas, also known as Rudolph to the Rescue, in that one, for the following Christmas, Santa gets some letters from some kids saying, hey, you guys totally missed us last year. Like, what the hell, right? So Rudolph has to go back and resave that last Christmas for these kids, and all is wonderful. Rudolph's fame would still continue to grow. DC Comics did produce annual Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer comic books from 1950 to 1962, so 13 in total between that point. All brand new stories about Rudolph, which is like pretty cool. And then of course 2 years after that, you have the legendary Rankin and Bass Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer Christmas Special, which not only cemented Rudolph as a Christmas legend, it also started to skyrocket Rankin and Bass as Christmas legend ambassadors for all their Christmas specials. So like a win-win all around. Rankin and Bass would make 2 more specials with Rudolph, Rudolph's Shiny New Year, and Rudolph and Frosty's Christmas in July. There was also the Rudolph and the Island of Misfit Toys special that came out. And in 1998, you did have a 2-dimensional cartoon movie of Rudolph. So dude's been around for quite a bit and is probably the most popular modern Christmas character there is. So get on him. So I guess other than that, that's that. Right on, and there you go. So thanks for watching the video. I hope you liked it as much as I did making it. Also, feel free to check out the source material that I featured in this video. And if you want to leave a comment on anything you may have liked or things I might have missed in this, feel free to do so. Or anything else, just to say hi. That's cool too. And other than that, have a great day. Thanks.